Marry me, or you're fired. How Black Single Dad Janitor responds to the Billionaire CEO Donovan Carter had been mopping the executive floor of Whitmore Industries for 6 months when his life changed forever. At 35, he was used to being invisible. The night janitor who cleaned the gleaming offices after everyone went home. The single father who picked up his 7-year-old daughter Amara from daycare at 6 a.m. before catching a few hours of sleep. Tonight was different. Peyton Whitmore, the 32-year-old billionaire CEO whose office he was currently cleaning, sat at her desk at 11 p.m., blonde hair pulled back in a severe ponytail, blue eyes red from crying. She looked up when Donovan knocked on the open door. "I'm sorry, Ms. Whitmore. I didn't realize anyone was still here. I can come back." "No, wait." Her voice was hoarse. "What's your name?" "Donovan Carter, ma'am. Night janitorial staff." "Donovan." She stood, and he noticed she was trembling. "I need to ask you something completely insane, and I need you to hear me out before you refuse." Donovan's instinct was to leave. Rich people's problems weren't his concern, but something in her expression, desperation mixed with determination, made him stay. "I'm listening." Peyton took a breath. "My grandfather left me controlling interest in Whitmore Industries, but there's a clause in his will. To maintain control, I must be married by my 33rd birthday. That's 6 weeks from now." "Okay." Donovan had no idea where this was going. "I've spent the last 5 years building this company from a regional supplier into a global technology leader. We employ 15,000 people. We innovate in AI, renewable energy, biotechnology. I've sacrificed everything for this company. Relationships, personal life, everything. Ms. Whitmore, I'm not sure why you're telling me this. Because my board of directors, led by my father's old business partners, wants me out. They've spent 5 years undermining me, questioning every decision, trying to force me to fail. This marriage clause is their trump card. If I'm not married in 6 weeks, they take control. They'll dismantle everything I've built." Donovan was starting to understand, and what he understood terrified him. "You can't be suggesting, marry me." Peyton said it bluntly. "Be my husband for 1 year. That's all the will requires. After a year, we divorce. I pay you $5 million. You never have to work another day in your life. Your daughter gets the best education money can buy. You get security, I keep my company. Everyone wins. Except I'm a janitor. You're a billionaire. Your board will never accept. They don't have a choice. The will says legally married, not married to someone they approve of. My grandfather was a romantic who believed love mattered more than status. I'm using that against them." "Why me?" Donovan demanded. "Why not someone from your social circle, someone who fits?" "Because everyone in my social circle wants something from me. You don't even know who I am beyond the CEO. You're invisible to people like my board. They won't think to vet you until it's too late, and..." She paused. "And you have a daughter. That makes you real. Gives the marriage legitimacy. You're insane. I'm desperate. Donovan, I know this is crazy. I know I'm asking you to upend your life. But think about what $5 million means. Think about what you could do for your daughter." Donovan thought about Amara, about the asthma medication he sometimes couldn't afford, about the tiny apartment they shared, about working 60 hours a week between 2 jobs just to keep them afloat, about the life he couldn't give her no matter how hard he tried. "And if I say no?" Peyton's expression hardened. "Then you're fired. I'll make sure you never work in this city again. I'll destroy you. That's illegal. That's blackmail. It's survival. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not losing my company because some old men think women shouldn't run businesses. So yes, I'm threatening you. Marry me or you're fired. Those are your options." Donovan stared at this woman, this desperate, powerful, terrified woman, and felt anger war with understanding. She was backed into a corner by a system designed to defeat her. He knew what that felt like. He'd been black in America for 35 years. He understood powerlessness. "I have conditions," he heard himself say. "Name them." "My daughter comes first, always. Her safety, her happiness, her well-being, they're non-negotiable. You don't get to use her as a prop." "Agreed. I want legal protections. A contract that ensures you can't screw me over when this is done. That $5 million in writing, plus health care and housing during the marriage." "Done. My lawyer will draft everything. And if this damages my reputation, If it hurts my ability to find work after, you compensate me for that too. Absolutely. Anything else? Yeah. You tell me the truth, all of it. Who you are, why you're really doing this, what I'm walking into. No surprises. Peyton sat back down, gesturing to the chair across from her. Then we have a deal. Let me tell you about the absolute shitstorm you just agreed to join. Hello, my Stop Racism family. Thank you for tuning in today. Before we dive deeper into this beautiful love story, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your country and state in the comments below. Also, I'd love to know your thoughts. What did you think of the story so far? Do you believe love can truly conquer prejudice? Let us know in the comments. We love reading them. And trust me, your words motivate us to keep making these videos. Let's make this video reach at least 50 comments. Your support means the world to us, and it drives us to create even more meaningful content for you. So don't forget to comment, share, and keep spreading love. The next morning, Donovan sat in the law offices of Chen & Associates with his sister Shanice, facing a contract so complex he needed a translator. This is insane, Shanice said for the 10th time. She was 2 years older than Donovan, worked as a paralegal, and had always been his voice of reason. Donnie, you can't marry some rich white woman you don't know. I can't not marry her. She's offering $5 million, Shanice. Do you know what that means for Amara? I know what it means for the complications in your life when this blows up. Gemma Price, Peyton's assistant and apparently her only real friend, spoke up. It's not ideal, but Ms. Whitmore is serious about the protections. Look at Clause 7, full health care for Donovan and Amara for life. Clause 12, housing allowance that continues for 2 years post-divorce. She's trying to be fair. Trying to be fair would be not threatening to fire him if he refused. Shanice shot back. She was desperate. Not her finest moment, she admits that. But the threat's off the table now. Donovan can walk away right now, and she won't retaliate. Donovan looked at Gemma. Can I meet her? Not CEO Peyton. Real Peyton. Before I sign anything, I need to know who I'm actually marrying. Peyton arrived an hour later, looking nothing like the polished executive from the night before. She wore jeans, minimal makeup, her blonde hair in a simple ponytail. She looked younger, more vulnerable. Thank you for considering this, she said, sitting across from Donovan. Gemma says you want to know the real me. That's fair, ask anything. Why aren't you married already? You're rich, successful, attractive. You should have options. I did. 3 engagements, all to men who wanted the Whitmore name and money, not me. One tried to sell company secrets to competitors. One physically intimidated me when I disagreed with him. One just wanted a trophy wife who'd shut up and look pretty at events. I've learned that people in my social circle don't see me as a person. I'm a bank account with a face. So you're using me to avoid another bad relationship? I'm using us to save my company while giving you financial security. It's transactional, yes, but it's honest about being transactional. No one's pretending this is romance. What about your board? They're going to lose their minds when you show up married to a black janitor. They'll absolutely lose their minds. They'll investigate you, try to prove the marriage is fake, look for any excuse to invalidate it. Walter Cunningham, he's the worst of them. He'll try to destroy you personally. You need to be prepared for that. I've been black in America for 35 years. I'm used to people trying to destroy me. Peyton flinched. Fair, but this will be different. They have resources, connections, no morals. They'll dig into every part of your life. Let them dig. I'm clean. I work hard. I take care of my daughter. I pay my bills. I've got nothing to hide. What about Amara's mother? Ex-wife? Anyone who could create problems? Donovan's expression darkened. Jade, Amara's mother, died 3 years ago. Car accident. She was my high school sweetheart, the love of my life. After she died, I moved to Boston to start over, give Amara a fresh start. So no, my dead wife won't create problems. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean... It's fine. You need to know. Donovan took a breath. My turn to ask. Why are you really doing this? And don't tell me it's just about the company. There's something else. Peyton was quiet for a long moment. My grandfather raised me. My parents died when I was 8. Plane crash. Grandfather stepped in, taught me everything about business, about life. He was the only person who ever loved me unconditionally. When he died, He left me the company with that marriage clause because he was worried I'd work myself to death alone. He wanted me to have a partner, someone to build a life with. That's actually sweet. It would be if his business partners weren't trying to exploit it. They've spent 5 years positioning themselves to take over when I inevitably failed to meet the marriage requirement. I'm not letting them win. I'm not letting them dismantle what my grandfather built. So this is about legacy. This is about respect. About proving that a woman can run a company as well as any man. About showing those old men that their prejudices don't determine my future. Donovan understood that. He'd spent his whole life fighting to be seen as more than stereotypes. Okay, I'm in. But we do this my way. Honest, straightforward, with Amara's well-being as priority one. Deal. They shook hands, sealing an arrangement that would change both their lives forever. The wedding was scheduled for 3 weeks later, just enough time to make it look legitimate without giving the board time to interfere. The ceremony was small, held at a judge's office with only necessary witnesses. Donovan wore a suit Peyton had bought him, the nicest clothes he'd ever owned. Amara wore a purple dress she'd picked out herself, excited about the party her daddy promised. Judge Frank Morrison, a friend of Peyton's grandfather, officiated with knowing eyes that suggested he understood this wasn't a love match. Do you, Peyton Whitmore, take Donovan Carter to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. And do you, Donovan Carter, take Peyton Whitmore to be your lawfully wedded wife? Donovan looked at this stranger he was promising to spend a year with. Then at Amara holding Gemma's hand, then back to Peyton. I do. Then by the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I pronounce you husband and wife. They didn't kiss, just shook hands while Amara clapped, oblivious to how transactional the whole thing was. The reception was at Peyton's penthouse, a stunning space overlooking Boston Harbor that made Donovan's apartment look like a closet. A few people attended. Gemma, Shanice, Peyton's father Griffin, who looked like he'd swallowed glass, CFO Russell Hayes, and HR Director Nina Rodriguez. Griffin Whitmore cornered Donovan in the kitchen. I know what you're doing. What am I doing? Marrying my daughter for money. But let me be clear. The board will investigate. We'll find evidence this marriage is fraudulent. And when we do, you'll lose everything. Probably go to prison for fraud. Your daughter asked me to marry her. I said yes. That's legal. You're a janitor. She's a billionaire. This marriage is a mockery. Or it's two adults making a choice that's none of your business. Donovan kept his voice level despite his anger. Sir, I don't know what happened between you and Peyton, but she's brilliant and capable, and she deserves better than a father who undermines her. You don't know anything about my daughter. I know she's been crying in her office at night trying to prove herself to people who'll never accept her. I know she's worked herself sick for this company, and I know she's more alone than anyone should be. So yeah, I married her, and I'm going to support her while we're married. That's what partners do. Griffin left without responding, but his expression suggested the war had begun. Moving into Peyton's penthouse was surreal. Donovan and Amara had one bedroom to themselves, huge, with an attached bathroom that was bigger than their old apartment's living room. Amara's eyes went wide. Daddy, is this really where we live now? For a while, yeah. But remember what we talked about. This is temporary. We're here to help Ms. Peyton with something important. When it's done, we'll have our own place. Can we get a puppy when we have our own place? Maybe, baby girl. We'll see. That first night, Peyton knocked on their bedroom door around 9 p.m. after Amara was asleep. Can we talk? Set some ground rules? They sat in the living room, awkward as roommates figuring out shared space. I've never lived with a child before, Peyton admitted. I don't know what I'm doing. If I mess up, tell me. Amara's pretty easy. She likes breakfast at 7, bedtime at 8:30, stories before sleep. She has asthma, so her inhaler needs to be accessible. She's shy with new people, but warms up quickly. I'll try not to disrupt her routine too much. And Donovan, about the money. I want to pay you monthly, not all at once at the end. That way you have security throughout the year, not just after. That's generous. It's fair. You're putting your life on hold for me. The least I can do is make it worth your while immediately. Why are you being so kind? You threatened to fire me. Now you're offering advance payments and consideration for my daughter. What changed? Peyton was quiet for a moment. Guilt, maybe, or recognition that I'm asking you to do something difficult. And the least I can do is make it easier. I don't know. I'm not good at this, at being human with people. Then let's practice. We're stuck together for a year. Might as well be friendly. Friends. We can be friends. I don't know about friends, but we can be kind to each other. That's a start. Peyton smiled, a real smile that transformed her face. Okay, kind to each other. I can do that. As Donovan went to bed that night, in a room worth more than he'd made in 5 years, he wondered if he'd made the right choice. $5 million was life-changing. But would it be worth pretending to be someone's husband for a year? He had no idea that this arrangement would become the most real thing in both their lives. The first month of marriage was adjustment. Donovan quit his night janitor job, at Peyton's insistence, and enrolled in online classes toward the business degree he'd abandoned when Jade got pregnant. Amara started at an elite private school that Peyton paid for, where she thrived despite initial culture shock. The board meeting where Peyton announced her marriage was exactly the disaster predicted. Walter Cunningham, Russell Hayes, and the other old guard members were furious. "You can't be serious," Walter sputtered. "You married a janitor?" "I married Donovan Carter, a 35-year-old single father working toward his business degree while supporting his daughter. His job title is irrelevant to his worth as a person. This is clearly a sham marriage to satisfy your grandfather's will. Prove it." "Oh, wait, you can't, because it's a legal marriage regardless of your opinions about it." Russell Hayes tried a different approach. "Peyton, we're concerned about optics. How will clients react to what? Their CEO being married to a black man? If clients have a problem with that, we don't need their business." "That's not what I meant." "That's exactly what you meant. Let's be honest about the prejudice driving this conversation." Nina Rodriguez, the HR director who'd attended the wedding, spoke up. "For the record, the marriage meets all legal requirements. Mr. Carter has been added to Ms. Whitmore's health care and benefits. They cohabitate. There's no evidence of fraud." "We'll see about that," Walter muttered. After the meeting, Peyton returned home exhausted to find Donovan helping Amara with homework at the kitchen table. The domesticity of it, the simple scene of father and daughter bent over math problems, struck her deeply. "How'd it go?" Donovan asked. "About as well as expected. Walter's going to investigate us. We need to be careful." "Define careful." "Public appearances together. Acting like a real couple, maybe some social media posts. The board is looking for evidence this is fake. We have to prove it's real. So, we're going to fake being real. Welcome to my life. Everything's performance." Over the following weeks, they established a routine. Peyton would come home from work around 7 p.m. Donovan usually had dinner ready. He discovered a love for cooking during his online culinary class. They'd eat together, with Amara, discussing their days like an actual family. "Ms. Peyton, do you like outer space?" Amara asked one evening. "I've never thought about it. Do you?" "I want to be an astronaut. Mrs. Henderson, she's my teacher, says I'm really good at science." "That's wonderful. We should go to the planetarium this weekend. Would you like that?" Amara's eyes went wide. "Can we, Daddy?" "Please?" Donovan watched Peyton with his daughter, seeing genuine interest instead of obligatory politeness. "Yeah, we can go." Saturday at the planetarium was the first time they felt like a real family. Peyton, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater, listened to Amara's endless questions with patience Donovan hadn't expected. They took photos, at Gemma's suggestion for social media proof, but the smiles were genuine. "You're good with her," Donovan said while Amara explored an exhibit. "She's easy to be good with. She's curious and smart and kind. You've raised an amazing kid." "I had help. My sister, neighbors, Jade before she died. It takes a village." "What was Jade like?" It was the first time Peyton had asked. Donovan appreciated her not treating his grief as off-limits. "She was sunshine, optimistic, always laughing, saw the best in everyone. She wanted to be a teacher, help kids. When she got pregnant with Amara, she was scared but excited. We were so young, just 22, but we were going to make it work." "What happened? The accident?" "Drunk driver. Jade was coming home from her night class at community college. She died instantly. Amara was 4. Sometimes I think Amara doesn't remember her clearly, and that kills me. Jade deserved to be remembered. Tell me about her. Share stories. I'll help Amara remember." Something shifted in that moment. Peyton wasn't just his fake wife anymore. She was someone who cared about preserving his daughter's memory of her mother. That mattered. That night, after Amara was asleep, they sat on the balcony overlooking the harbor. "I need to ask you something," Peyton said, "and I need you to be honest, okay? Are you happy? Living here? Doing this arrangement? Is it what you expected?" "It's better than expected, but also harder. I keep forgetting this is temporary, that in 11 months, we're going back to being strangers. Would it help if we stayed friends after the divorce, I mean? I don't have many friends. You and Amara, you've made this place feel less empty. I'd like to keep that if possible." "Yeah, I'd like that too." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights reflect on the water. Two people who'd started as strangers, becoming something more. Not quite friends, not quite family, but something in between that neither could name. And neither noticed they were falling for each other until it was too late to stop. How's this story hitting you so far? Tell us in the comments. If you're loving it, type 1. If not, type 0. We want to know what you think. 3 months into the marriage, they attended a charity gala, the first major public event as a couple. Peyton wore a stunning silver gown that made Donovan forget how to breathe. He wore a tuxedo that fit perfectly, tailored specifically for him at Peyton's insistence. "You look beautiful," he said when she emerged from her room. "You look pretty amazing yourself." She adjusted his bow tie, her fingers lingering at his collar. "Ready to face the wolves?" "As ready as I'll ever be." The gala was at the Four Seasons, attended by Boston's wealthy elite. The stares began immediately. A white billionaire CEO with her black janitor husband. The gossip was nearly visible. Leo Jenkins, CEO of a rival tech company, and Peyton's former fiancé, approached with predatory interest. "Peyton, you look stunning as always. And this must be the famous husband I've heard so much about." "Donovan Carter?" Donovan said, extending his hand. "Nice to meet you." "Leo Jenkins. I'm curious, how did you two meet?" "The papers have been quite vague. We met at work," Peyton said smoothly. Donovan was working night shifts while finishing his business degree. We talked during his breaks. I was impressed by his determination and character. How romantic. A CEO and a janitor. Very Cinderella, except gender-swapped and with questionable optics. Questionable how? Donovan's voice remained level, but his eyes hardened. "Oh, questions about motivations, authenticity. People wonder if this marriage is legitimate or convenient. People can wonder all they want. My marriage is my business. Of course, though I hope you signed a prenup. Divorce can be so messy when wealth disparities are involved." Peyton took Donovan's arm, steering him away. "Ignore Leo. He's bitter I refused to marry him 3 years ago. He's an ass, but he's not wrong about what people are saying. Do you care what people say? I care that it affects you, your reputation, your business. I don't want to be the reason people doubt you. You're not. If anything, you've made me stronger, given me something real to fight for instead of just abstract company principles." They danced later, and for the first time, the physical proximity felt charged with more than convenience. Peyton fit perfectly in Donovan's arms, and he found himself not wanting the song to end. "I have a confession," Peyton said quietly as they danced. "I'm starting to forget this is temporary." "Me too. That's a problem." "Why is it a problem? Maybe we don't have to end this after a year. Maybe we could—" "Don't." Donovan stopped dancing, looking at her seriously. "Don't say something you'll regret when you're thinking clearly. We made an agreement. You get your company, I get financial security. Catching feelings complicates that. And if I want it complicated, then you're not thinking about what happens when this falls apart. Peyton, you're brilliant and beautiful and kind, but you're also a billionaire CEO and I'm a janitor with a business degree I haven't finished. Our lives don't actually fit together outside this arrangement. They could, if we wanted them to. Do you want them to? Really? Or is this just convenience and proximity making you feel things that won't survive reality?" Peyton didn't answer, and they finished the dance in silence. The next week, Walter Cunningham made his move. He called a special board meeting presenting evidence that the marriage was fraudulent. "We've investigated Donovan Carter," Walter announced, projecting documents on the screen. "He has significant debt. His daughter has expensive medical needs, and he was threatened with eviction before marrying Ms. Whitmore. This marriage is clearly financial desperation, not love. So what? Russell Hayes asked. People marry for financial security all the time. That doesn't make it fraudulent. It does when combined with the convenient timing, just before Ms. Whitmore's deadline. This is a sham marriage to circumvent the will's intent. Nina Rodriguez intervened. Actually, I've reviewed the will extensively with legal counsel. It requires marriage, not love. The Carters' marriage is legal and binding. Their motivations are irrelevant. The spirit of the will. The spirit doesn't matter. The letter of the law does. And legally, Peyton Whitmore is married. This matter is closed. Walter wasn't done. Then I'm calling for a vote of no confidence. Even if the marriage is technically legal, Ms. Whitmore's judgment is clearly compromised. We need new leadership. The vote failed, barely. But the message was clear. Peyton's position was precarious, and her marriage to Donovan was the ammunition her enemies needed. That night, Peyton came home to find Donovan packing. "What are you doing?" she asked, panic in her voice. "What I should have done from the start. Leaving. Peyton, I'm destroying your career. Every day we're married, your position gets weaker. I can't be the reason you lose everything. You're not. I am. And we both know it. So I'm giving you an out. We'll divorce quietly. You can claim it didn't work out. Find someone more appropriate to marry before your deadline. Someone your board will accept. I don't want someone appropriate. I want you. Why? Be honest. Why do you want me?" Peyton took a breath. "Because you're the first person in 10 years who's treated me like a person instead of a bank account. Because you make me laugh. Because watching you with Amara makes me believe in goodness again. Because I'm in love with you, you idiot, and I don't care if that wasn't part of the arrangement." Donovan stared at her. "You're in love with me?" "Hopelessly. Inconveniently. Completely. Peyton, I'm a janitor. You're a father. A student. A man who rebuilt his life after tragedy. You're kind and strong and real. And I don't care what anyone thinks. I want this marriage to be real. Not for the company, not for the will. For us. What if it doesn't work? What if reality doesn't match this bubble we've been living in? Then we'll fail having tried for something real instead of succeeding at something fake. That's worth the risk." Donovan set down the suitcase. "You're really sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." "Then okay. Let's be real. Let's see if this works." They kissed. Their first real kiss. Not for show or appearances, but because they wanted to. And in that moment, their fake marriage became the most genuine thing either had ever experienced. Going public with their genuine feelings complicated everything and nothing. The board's hostility intensified. Walter Cunningham leaked stories to the press about the suspicious marriage. Clients questioned Peyton's judgment. Stock prices fluctuated. But Donovan and Peyton were united now, facing challenges together instead of as reluctant partners. "We need a strategy," Gemma said during an emergency meeting at the penthouse. She'd become their de facto advisor, invested in making the relationship work. "Walter's not going to stop. He's convinced this marriage is fake, and he's determined to prove it." "Let him try," Peyton said. "We're not fake anymore. But you started fake. That's the problem. If he can prove the marriage began as a business arrangement, he can't prove motivation. And even if he could, we're legally married. That's what matters." Donovan spoke up. "What if we flip the narrative? Instead of defending, we go on offense. Show everyone that this marriage works despite starting unconventionally." "How?" Shanice asked. She'd become part of their inner circle, protective of her brother and surprisingly fond of Peyton. "We tell our story, honestly. Not the threatening part. That's between us. But the truth, Peyton needed to be married to keep her company. I needed financial security. We agreed to a mutually beneficial arrangement. Then we fell in love for real. It's not a fairy tale, but it's honest. That's risky," Gemma warned. "Admitting the marriage started as an arrangement is better than letting them control the narrative with lies," Peyton finished. "Donovan's right. We own our story before they twist it." They scheduled an interview with a sympathetic journalist from the Boston Globe. Theo Wright, the security guard at Whitmore Industries who'd befriended Donovan, advised on optics. Dr. Mallory Kim, Amara's psychologist who'd helped her adjust to the new life, testified to the family's stability. The interview was honest, vulnerable, and powerful. Peyton explained her grandfather's will, the board's hostility, her desperation. Donovan explained his financial struggles, his desire to provide for Amara, his unexpected connection with Peyton. We didn't marry for love, Peyton admitted. We married for practical reasons. But somewhere between signing papers and living together, we discovered something real, something worth fighting for. Do you love your husband, Ms. Whitmore? Completely. Which wasn't part of the plan, but is the best thing that's happened to me. Mr. Carter, what do you say to people who think you married Ms. Whitmore for money? I say they're partially right. Money was a factor. I was desperate. But staying married, choosing to make this real, that's about love. Peyton's brilliant, kind, funny when she lets her guard down. She's an incredible stepmother to my daughter. I'd be a fool not to love her. The article went viral. Public opinion shifted. Some people were touched by their honesty. Others remained skeptical. But the narrative was theirs now, not the board's. Walter Cunningham tried one final gambit. He called a shareholder meeting, demanding Peyton's removal as CEO based on erratic behavior and compromised judgment. The meeting was packed. Shareholders, board members, employees, press, everyone wanted to see if Peyton would survive. She stood at the podium, Donovan beside her, and spoke with the conviction of someone who'd stopped caring about appearances. You've questioned my judgment for 5 years. When I expanded into renewable energy, you said it was risky. When I prioritized worker benefits, you said it was wasteful. When I refused to cut corners on safety, you said it was inefficient. But under my leadership, Whitmore Industries has tripled in value, expanded to 30 countries, and won industry awards for innovation and ethics. Your marriage, Walter began. My marriage is legal, but more than that, it's real. I love my husband. I love his daughter. They've made me a better leader by reminding me what matters. People, not just profits. Family, not just shareholders. This is highly inappropriate. What's inappropriate is your vendetta against a CEO whose only crime is being female and making decisions you disagree with. You've used my grandfather's will as a weapon, my personal life as ammunition. But I'm done being defensive. Either support me as CEO or vote me out. But stop this passive-aggressive campaign of undermining. The vote was called. Peyton survived, narrowly but definitively. Walter Cunningham resigned from the board in protest, taking 2 allies with him. But Peyton remained CEO, and her marriage remained intact. That night, Donovan found her on the balcony, staring at the harbor. You did it. You kept your company. We did it. I couldn't have survived without you. So what now? We've won. The arrangement can end. I can take my money and... No. Peyton turned to face him. This isn't about the arrangement anymore. This is about us. You, me, Amara, building a real life together. If you want that, more than anything, then stay. Not because I'm paying you or because of contracts. Stay because you love me and I love you and we're building something real. Donovan pulled her close. I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me. Best thing that ever happened to me. They stood together, watching the city lights. 2 people who'd married for practical reasons, discovering that love was the most practical choice of all. 6 months after the shareholder meeting, Donovan graduated with his business degree. Peyton attended the ceremony with Amara, both cheering embarrassingly loud when his name was called. He immediately took a position at Whitmore Industries, not because of his wife, but because he'd earned it through his thesis on innovative supply chain management that had impressed the hiring committee. You know, people will say I hired you because we're married, Peyton warned. Let them say it. I know I earned this position. That's what matters. Griffin Whitmore, Peyton's father, finally called a truce. He visited the penthouse for dinner, bringing gifts for Amara and a stiff apology for Donovan. I was wrong about you, Griffin admitted. I assumed the worst, that you were using my daughter. But I've watched how you care for her, how you've built a life together. You're good for her, better than I've been. Thank you, sir. That means a lot. And Donovan. Call me Griffin. We're family now. Mrs. Ruth Henderson, who ran Amara's school, remarked at a parent-teacher conference, Amara's thriving. The stability of having 2 parents who clearly love each other. It's made a huge difference. We almost didn't make it here, Peyton said. This family. It started so unconventionally. The best families do. What matters isn't how you started, but how you love each other now. 1 year after the marriage, the original end date of their arrangement, they celebrated their anniversary. Not the fake wedding at the courthouse, but a real ceremony with Amara as flower girl, Shanice as maid of honor, and Gemma officiating. "A year ago, I married you out of desperation," Peyton said during her vows. "Today, I'm marrying you out of love. You've taught me that strength isn't about independence. It's about having someone beside you. You've shown me that family isn't about perfection. It's about choosing each other every day. You've made me better, Donovan Carter, and I'm grateful for every moment." Donovan's vows were simpler. "I married you for $5 million. Stayed for 5 million reasons that have nothing to do with money. You're my best friend, my partner, the mother Amara chose. I love you, Peyton Whitmore. Not because you're a billionaire CEO, but because you're you." They kissed as husband and wife. For real this time, with no contracts, no arrangements, just love. Amara hugged them both afterward. "Does this mean Peyton's really my mommy now?" "I've always been your mommy," Peyton said, kneeling to Amara's level. "From the moment your daddy and I decided to be a real family. If you want to call me Mom, I'd be honored." "Okay, Mom." Amara said it casually, like it was the most natural thing in the world. And maybe it was. The story of Donovan and Peyton became legendary in business circles, not as a cautionary tale about sham marriages, but as proof that love could come from the most unexpected places, that a desperate ultimatum could become genuine partnership, that a billionaire CEO and a single dad janitor could build something real. They faced challenges, more board battles, public scrutiny, the normal struggles of any marriage, but they faced them together. And that, they discovered, made all the difference. Years later, when asked about their unusual beginning, Peyton would smile and say, "I married him, or he was fired. Best executive decision I ever made." Donovan would add, "She offered me $5 million. I got something infinitely more valuable, a family." And they'd look at each other with the knowing smiles of people who'd found love in the most unlikely place, a desperate proposition that became a beautiful reality.